However, from my perspective, the participation of the Polish army in Ukraine is out of the question. There is no such need. I also spoke with President Zelensky and asked him about the clear, unequivocal declarations from Western European countries regarding the participation of their troops in Ukraine. And as far as I know, there are also no clear declarations from Western countries about what kind of military component could be sent to Ukraine. And I think, as I regularly repeat, that in this regard, Western countries have priority in sending their contingents before Poland, before the Baltic states, before Finland, and before the Nordic countries. But of course, this is an individual decision for each head of state.
We are in Poland. I think that many Europeans forget how much responsibility Poland has taken on in this difficult situation. The cooperation between Finland and Poland is close, and we have agreed to further strengthen our dialogue. We will intensify our cooperation in the areas of security and defense, as well as investments in defense. In line with NATO's objectives, we will increase our capacity for cooperation in the future. It is a great privilege and a great honor to have you here with us.
President Donald Trump's decision to keep American troops in Poland is good news for the entire Central European region, for the Baltic states, for the Nordic countries, and it also reflects our relations within the North Atlantic Alliance. We spoke with the President. The President is open, and for that I am also very grateful to expanding the Bucharest 9 format.
Mr. President, you are an excellent golfer. That probably helps in diplomacy. How do you want to translate these good relations into benefits for the entire region, for the whole eastern flank? How can this be done even better?
You can go for it.
Thank you for that question. I think that diplomatic relations are usually built on two pillars. The first pillar is history, values, interests, geographical proximity, and alliances. Generally speaking, and I have the impression that the relations between Finland and the United States are strong and have been strong throughout our history. Personally, I have always had a very close transatlantic perspective due to my background. I studied in the United States. I lived in the United States. On the other hand, the second pillar is personal relationships. And I think that often, not only in the literature on international relations, but also in public discourse, this element is underestimated. That's why I believe it's very important that no matter which world leader I talk to, it's crucial for me to build a close relationship with them. And I am fortunate to be in a position where I have managed to spend a lot of time with the President of the United States. The first issue is the ongoing purchase of gas and oil from Russia by several European countries. I'm thinking here of Slovakia and Hungary. I firmly believe that this situation absolutely has to stop. We must diligently use every conceivable and possible means to put significant pressure on the Russian economy with all available resources. We need to stop buying Russian gas and oil from Russia. This is one way, and there is another way. Of course, to effectively utilize the frozen assets that Europe currently holds in one form or another. Another significant issue we discussed is sanctions. And as a direct result of the productive talks we had today, as the President of the United States publicly announced, a dedicated delegation from Europe has been sent to discuss how we can effectively coordinate, whether it be direct sanctions or secondary sanctions.
Let me remind you that today, ladies and gentlemen, there are 10,000 soldiers and 7,000 uniformed officers stationed at the Polish borders. This demonstrates the role of the border guard, and it also shows the immense pressure we are under today as countries that are part of a hybrid war. Therefore, I do not intend to give my consent for Polish soldiers to be deployed to Ukraine. At the same time, I want to make it clear, and I say this in all my conversations with partners. Just to be clear, I said it in Lithuania, I said it in Italy, I said it in the United States. I am repeating it here in Finland as well. Of course, both the coalition of the willing and the entire free world can count on Poland. We have shown that we are ready to help, and this will not change in the coming months or years until lasting peace is achieved. However, from my perspective, the participation of the Polish army in Ukraine is out of the question. There is no such need. I also spoke with President Zelensky and asked him about the clear, unequivocal declarations from Western European countries regarding the participation of their troops in Ukraine. And as far as I know, there are also no clear declarations from Western countries about what kind of military component could be sent to Ukraine. And I think, as I regularly repeat, that in this regard, Western countries have priority in sending their contingents before Poland, before the Baltic states, before Finland, and before the Nordic countries. But of course, this is an individual decision for each head of state. As for Prime Minister Donald Tusk, I agree with the President that for the United States, regardless of who is the head of the Polish government or who is the Polish president, Poland will always be, I truly believe, a very important partner for the United States. However, as I have also said publicly, Prime Minister Donald Tusk should not speak about the President of the United States in this manner. In doing so, he insulted the American people because that's how Americans view their president. Such a thing should not have happened. I consider this to be a serious and reckless act by a Polish politician, one that harms Poland. But fortunately, Mr. Editor, ladies and gentlemen, there is a kind of consensus both in Poland and in the United States, in which the President of Poland represents Poland in the United States. And I will do everything, and I am doing everything, to take care of our good relations, regardless of this recklessness, this unnecessary situation into which Donald Tusk provoked President Trump.